Hi everyone, and welcome to the first Aragon Dev meeting. This is the first one of the set of public meetings that we are doing as outlined in the Aragon Community Governance Model document that Luis created. We will have multiple meetings. This is the dev meeting, and there's more details on other public meetings and when they will occur. This will be a bi-weekly meeting in which all the members from the Aragon core team, development team, will join and talk about development progress and how are we doing regarding next milestones. And also, if you're a contributor to any of the product repositories, you will be invited to join these meetings and discuss the development. So let's get started with today's meeting. This is the meeting agenda. The link is here, and it's also pasted in Slack or in the comments of this video, so you can see what we're doing. The participants in the meeting are Hars or DApp developer in the front-end side, team smart contract developer. Luis is the project lead, but also helps mostly with more general stuff, but especially in front end and product areas, and myself, tech lead, that I'm helping more or less in the smart contract area, and also Tattoo, that is handling all the live streaming and recording. So you can also he will also be collecting questions for the end of the meeting. So if you're watching live and have any questions regarding in the scope of this meeting regarding the development, just shoot it to Tattoo in the comments of the video or Slack, and we will go to it at the end of the agenda. So this is today's agenda. If anyone has anything else to add, you can just edit the issue or put an issue here, and we will do this at the end. But we should start with the first item for today. That is the progress on the accounting app. This is the smart contract that will handle all the accounting for the application that team has been working on this week. So I will hand it over to Tim.
Hey. All right, I'm sharing my screen. Yeah, so can you see this, hopefully?
Yeah.
All right, so the accounting app. Basically, we're trying to make something that is in between, a pluggable app that goes between the Vault organ and whatever on the business level. And the highlight of this would be here. This is the pull request. Basically, I've spent the week trying to understand our code base a bit more and also see how it would, I guess, logically make sure that we have an audit trail to know like what's happening, a non-destructive audit trail, so that as things happen to the transaction, we can follow and have accounting of who does what over time. And broken this off into two smaller pieces. One is the concept of the transaction of who does or who is sending how much to who, to or from the organization. And then the next would be what happens to the update or what happens to the transaction over time. So initially it would be in a pending state perhaps. And then if it's approved by an admin, it could go into be for withdrawal. Or if there's an incoming transaction, if we don't accept this type of token, then we can say, hey, there was a transaction, but it failed because it was rejected for some reason, like this. And if you feel like it, feel free to take a look at this pull request 55 up here, and I could love your feedback.
Cool. Good job. Cool. I will share my screen again. I'm very excited about this part. Like it's a very challenging part of it, but I think we can do a very good job with that. Next item on the agenda is like kind of I want to talk through a bit about how's the overall refactor of the Aragon core contracts coming along for 0.4, kind of in more or less in a broad level. So basically, as a very quick recap, 0.4, we have been going from the current monolith that we had in 0.3, which was like a big messy contract with almost everything, to a much more modular architecture, like multi-layered application in which code that is like more critical is run at a lower level, and it's code that is that will have more eyes on it, and most of other organizations will share it, and then we'll have more interesting business logic where things could go a bit more wrong because code is more complicated at the application level. But this is like sandbox, and it's very clear what every of these applications can do at the overall DAO structure. So I updated this in my fork of Aragon core to see how are we doing towards the refactor. Like the kernel is like almost completely finished. There are like some rough edges regarding security that we should pay like more attention to, but it's roughly like completed and properly tested. We could have more tests, but I'm very comfortable with that. The only thing that it's something that I will do an issue and we should talk about a bit more is whether the dispatcher organ should be its own organ, or should be include like all the logic from the dispatcher organ should be included in the kernel. The problem with that is like right now we do a delegate call from the kernel to the dispatcher, and then from the dispatcher to whatever organ we dispatch the call to. And this is a bit of an overkill. I'm not so sure the overhead in one extra delegate call that's almost 1,000 gas is worth it. So that's something that we should explore. All other organs are basically completed. Made an organ that is for like changing meta DAO properties, like changing the kernel, adding new organs, and all that. The token vault organ is something that kept track of all the organ, like all the tokens the organization had. This is something that we're like, it's in the progress of getting merged, but it's something that is probably going up to the apps level, which like actually it's the governance tokens organ. I have to correct this. This is the one that is going up, and this is the vault organ, which has been completed, and now team is working on the accounting app to build on top all the interesting business logic on top of this very low level thing. And then the application organ is like just what handles like dispatches to the application. And regarding applications, like most of them are almost ready. The capital one, which is the token sales, is like I have to finish that next week. I didn't have enough time this one, but it's about to be like I have to do a couple of things and send the pull request, and then team is working in the accounting app, and after that we will probably work on the payments app to have a more general payments app. So I'm very, very comfortable with how things are going. I think code quality has improved a lot. There are some things that we could do to make the whole code base more consistent. Probably adding a linter will help with that because there are parts that are not very, very consistent. But overall, I think it's going great. We have almost over like 100 unit tests for this, which coming from 0, it's like a very good improvement. But yeah, I think we're definitely on track for finishing it. And also, this is something that I wanted to talk about, what we discussed yesterday in Wire. Luis and I were talking about how trying to do like adapt the front end for 0.4 was going to be a lot of work to accommodate to the new architecture of the contracts, but the upside of what a user could do, like new thing, like it's not too much. Like the user would have like a couple more drop downs to like pick the token they want to do an action with, but there's not too much new stuff that they could do, and we would be rushing this month to get 0.4, like the front end for 0.4 out the door, working a lot and probably burning a little bit, and this would at the end of the day be all technical debt, as probably like whatever is done right now on top of the Meteor code base won't be reusable in 0.5. So we decided to make 0.4 a Jazz contracts release, and then we have to talk a bit about we're going to deliver for 0.4 in the contract side. And I think this will be a great opportunity for Tim and I to improve very much like the test the test suite for the contract, and also do a bit of documentation effort and documentate every part of the code, why it works this way, what does it do, and then explain a bit, like in a couple of technical blog posts, what is 0.4, why we considered it finished, and then kickstart the security audits to get it in a state where we're comfortable running this in the mainnet by the end of the year. So that's what I think 0.4 should be. Also, maybe something that isn't like 100% decided, it would maybe make sense to make a JavaScript library called Aragon.js or whatever, so the front-end guys like have it easier to then integrate the contracts, like even if it's very, very basic. But this is something that we have to talk about. Does anyone have anything to add to this point? Cool. Next point. Review of this week's sprint. It's been an interesting week because basically we decided this week that we weren't pursuing all the front-end changes for 0.4. So that's why I created this new cancelled column here to put all the tasks that weren't done because like they were cancelled. And yeah. Regarding everything else, the only thing that left done in the to-do, it's the app discoverability and common interfaces. Like this is something I want to focus a bit more next week. I didn't have time to really think about this. I'm very interested about EIP 165. I think it's this one. Yeah. 165 is the pseudo introspection and standard interface detection. It would maybe make sense to implement something like this with our app contract, so we know what interfaces do the applications that a contract implement have. It's something that needs a bit more research. And then regarding what was left in doing, it's like from my side, the fundraising contracts that weren't finished and team that's still finishing the accounting app. And then we have a bunch of things that we need to code review and merge. But overall, I think we made a lot of progress this week, and I'm very happy. So yeah. Also, regarding the sprint organization itself, does anyone have any opinion on this kind of organization? If we like 1 week sprints, should we have 2 week sprints to kind of accommodate with this cost schedule? Not do sprints at all, like adding other kinds of columns. I don't know, like I think it's important that we give feedback in the way that we organize that work. So please, any feedback?
Yeah, no, I think maybe we should think about like what you said about accommodating the sprints to this kind of bi-weekly calls. So maybe just move the sprints to like be 2 weeks, which I don't think is like a huge period of time, but it's just enough to like have everyone on the same page. So we should probably think about that.
Yeah, I agree on 2 week sprints. 1 week is too little to do like substantial work that needs enough depth. So, yeah. Any more comments? Cool. So we should go to Harsh, who had prepared like something about the 0.5 planning for the full front-end refactor on modularization. Harsh?
Yeah. I'm just sharing my screen. Yeah. So is it visible?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all about Aragon 0.5, which is the next expected release of Aragon. So yeah, so this is what I'm expecting right now. So first is we are going to remove Blaze from Blaze and Meteor from our Aragon tab, and we are going to use Vue and Vue packages for the same. And the second one is the Aragon versioning proposal. So it's a protocol that Luis wanted to integrate in this thing, but it's a kind of protocol that will allow us to import packages in that. The third one is the sandbox modules. So yeah, I'll just talk about this thing in detail. So first thing is the new stack. So in point 5, we are going to use Electron. We are going to remove Meteor, so we won't be using Minimongo and everything. So instead of that, we are going to use RxDB and Vue in place of Blaze, which is the default templating for Meteor. And yeah, and we are going to think about the MetaMask, like replacement of MetaMask. So it can be our in-house Web3 provider, or we can use for like some combination of something. So that's the issue that is discussed over here. It's number 46. And cool. Yeah, so this will be the dApp architecture in general. So on the left hand side we already have modules, but in right hand side currently the thing is that we are loading that modules on our own. But if you want to inject your own module, it will be loaded in sandbox iframe. So you will get your own two windows. Then you can load your main module view in the center, and then you can load the action panel on the right. And for this thing you will be provided, so there will be a JavaScript that you can inject on your modules that will load default Aragon style sheets, and it will inject Web3 provider if it's not in browser. And yeah, so that's all it's about. And for the modules, it's like, yeah, we are using sandbox iframes, and in order to talk to parent frame, that is our parent Aragon dApp, you need to use post messages. So it will be abstracted over the object that we'll be exposing using the CommonJS type that I just discussed earlier. And yeah, so that's it. This is the expose Web3 via CommonJS lib. So it won't overwrite a Web3 object if it's already there, but yeah, it will inject if it's not there. And the AVP, that is the Aragon version protocol. So it will be like a central repository for the packages that we are. So it's an in general protocol, but yeah, we are going to use that protocol in Aragon. It's currently work in progress. So it will be like you can publish your packages using your multisig or your dev account to the contract. Then you can fetch it from there in the Aragon tab. So you can add your own modules here. So the module 4, the 5th, whatever module you want to add, you can add it from there. So yeah, that's all about point 5. And yes, it's majorly about Meteor, like removal of Meteor, and making it more modular so that it's more extensible from that.
Cool. Very good presentation, Harsh. Something that it would be interesting is if you could work on kind of a timeline for 0.5, like all the different parts that need to be done and all
Yeah,
that.
so I'm gonna create issues and I'll be adding them in weekly sprints so that we can track them. So I'll be starting with the Meteor thing. So like I'll be porting templates first to the Vue thing, and then we are parallelly working on the AVP. So yeah, that's how I'm going to accomplish this. So yeah, I'll be adding issues that we can track.
Okay, perfect. And kind of now that we don't have front end for 0.5, like for 0.4, it's like kind of the new front end is needed to run the Aragon organization. So I don't know if you have any deadline in mind to how much time would it take us to ship 0.5?
So as per my view, it's like it won't take more than 2 weeks to port everything to Meteor, like to Vue a new architecture. And so it will be like non-functioning application, but we'll be adding features progressively. So as we are changing a lot of things in point 4, like contract wise, and then we are going to think about the the uport modules and the MetaMask. So it will be like add-on changes on top of that. So yeah, everything will be covered in point 5 for sure, but I'll be starting with this template refactoring from first.
Okay, perfect. I mean, I think we're fine to, like, if this gets shipped like late September, October, or even November, like, then we're fine. We're gonna get, like, if we get into December, it's like, well, we start to get a bit messy, but I mean, this looks perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in the end, what we need to take care about sooner is just the contract, because we have to like get the audits going, but the front end can take a bit longer, and that's okay.
Okay. Yeah. So first we need to fix the contracts, then we can work on this thing. But yeah, this is in general the proposal.
Perfect.
Yep, I'm done.
Cool. Good job, Harsh. Now, Luis, next item in the agenda is Luis that wants to talk a bit more about the Aragon versioning protocol and the modularization for 0.5. Luis?
Yeah. Just sharing my screen now. Okay, can you guys see it?
Yes.
Cool. So I want to expand a little bit more on what Harsh mentioned about the versioning protocol. So basically, we figured out that in order to provide these modules that we are talking about, we need to create a way for developers to publish new versions of basically any data package, like any data package. And also, we need to kind of abstract over the storage system, because like today we may be using IPFS, but then we're using another one or whatever. So we created this proposal of how this may work. So basically, we have a developer that can be like an account or any contract, like a multisig, for example, and they can publish. Well, they can first deploy a package contract, and so this contract basically tracks all the different versions of a resource in a data storage platform like IPFS or Stargate or Swarm. And so basically it tracks all the different versions and also tracks their hashes to check their integrity and also their actual version numbers. So it kind of works as a package manager, but it's kind of agnostic. Like it's a versioning protocol. You can version everything, not only packages, but every single data resource that has different versions. So this fixes a couple problems and makes a couple things possible. So first of all is, point to an upgradable data package. You don't have to change references all the time to different storage platforms or whatever. We can abstract over the storage platform. It obviously keeps all the trail of all the different versions of the package. And then the owner can be any kind of contract. That's very important because like with IPFS, for example, you have a private key. And then you can for example, with IPNS, which is like a DNS system for IPFS, you can publish new versions of your that reference in IPFS URI. And that could work for our use case, but that has some troubles. First one is it kind of ties us to IPFS. And secondly, you have to, you have this private key, and this private key can push new versions to this IPNS name, but there is no way for a multisig, for example, to control it and to post new versions. So there's something very important and very cool about using Ethereum to kind of abstract over the storage layer, is that a developer may be a multisig, and I think we will see that happen, or maybe even like a protocol or like a DAO with voting tokens, and maybe to push out a new version, they need some kind of voting or governance tokens or people voting or whatever. So it kind of enables a lot of things to happen. And then we can use ENS. So you can have package.aragon.whatever.eth, and you don't have to reference crazy Ethereum addresses or something. So been working on that. So the next step is obviously building a package manager on top of it that it can implement a couple of things that we need for our own modules inside Aragon. So obviously this package manager could use the versioning protocol, but we would have some kind of npm-alike resolving, something like a package.json. And also it can contain the front-end code, but also the address to the factory where the contracts are to be deployed. So I'm discussing with Jorge about how we can make that possible. What's the best way to do that? And so, so basically we're working towards a release that will be a package running other packages inside it. So that's so meta, and I'm very excited. Yeah.
Cool.
Do you guys have any questions or comments?
Yeah.
Oh, something that I forgot to add is that it would be really cool to do like an ERC proposal for Ethereum for this versioning protocol, because I believe it could be useful for, I mean, mostly anything inside the Ethereum ecosystem, not only our own modules. And since it is so abstract, you can store any kind of data inside these packages. So it would be cool to kind of standardize the format and the contracts for that.
That's great.
Cool. Good job. Nice. Moving on to the next point in the agenda, about like something that Harsh had as multiple interrogations. It's like what's going to happen with the providers for 2.5. I think we have like there's almost like whole team consensus in like moving on away from MetaMask and doing kind of our own thing for this. I think we don't need a full-fledged wallet for this. Like we need like a way to just send transactions to this in an easy way. So if we finally decide to move away from MetaMask, then we need to decide how do we how do we do all these things. I think we can reuse, even if we move away from MetaMask, all their Web3 special Web3 providers that they use behind the scenes that kind of catches some parts of the blockchain locally to like do handling of events, even if the node that you're using doesn't allow like to be subscribed to events using the RPC API. So I think the MetaMask team has like a lot of things that will make us very easy if we decide to run our own provider. And then we have after we have the provider, we need the part to like how do we sign the transactions for the user, and where does the user key live? And I think we like with Uport, like I was just talking today to the guy from Uport, and I think they're doing like very, very interesting things for like the first time users get into your dApp to like make that onboarding very, very easy. Also, yeah, I don't think this is public information, but I can share with you that basically they are doing like there's a first governmental institution that is gonna do attestations of identity in Uport, and they are announcing that today. So I think that's great, and that will bring a lot of attention. And we could use Uport as one of the key holders to like send transactions. The way like very briefly talking to the guy today, he told me like the flow more or less would be if we want a user like the user is logged into dApp and you want the user to sign a transaction, you just instead of having the MetaMask pop-up, like what would happen is the user would get a push notification in their phone like this is something that has to get signed, and then you get into the push notification and it says like you're sending a transaction to the Aragon contract with this transaction data that means X, Y, and Z, and then he presses approve, and then the transaction gets signed in the secure enclave in the device, in the phone, and then the transaction is broadcasted to Ethereum network. So I think that's a very cool flow for people that aren't too concerned about security. And then I think something that wouldn't be like too hard to integrate is just having Ledger integration and allowing people to just like connect the Ledger and then sign all the transactions for interacting with their company with Ledger. I think we can pull that off without much trouble. What are everyone's opinion on this point?
Yeah, so basically we would abstract over the user's wallet, like if they use Uport or the Ledger or whatever. So I think it's a good move.
Yeah, we would basically be splitting from like what is the node that like actually what MetaMask does already, like splitting from what is the node that is giving us the blockchain information, like that is in the blockchain, and from like where are these transactions getting signed and where's the private key.
Yeah, I mean, we will need to like build our kind of own UI for the Electron app. But I think that's totally fine if we make something like very easy and straightforward.
Yeah, we would need some UI for like adding accounts, kind of like login, in which you would need to say what are you using to like sign transactions. And then for the alpha, we could even have a version that allows you to kind of like MetaMask to have the private key in the browser, and then just use that one.
Yeah, so it will make user onboarding very easy.
It should because if they use this way to have their key in the browser, or if like Uport allows it, like the user wouldn't need to confirm every single transaction with a weird MetaMask or what. If they allow that.
Yeah, we can provide very native controls for this thing in Electron app.
Sorry, say again.
We can provide very native controls for this in Electron app, so that it doesn't look like a pop-up or like something that is not integrated with that.
Yeah, and then in this pop-up we could like show better information like app-wide to like what is the contract call that is going on, which is very hard in MetaMask. Like you just see that transactions are happening, but they don't tell you really what is going on. Like what are you like saying? Okay.
Yeah, makes sense. It's great, man.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so those were like kind of like the things that we needed to discuss. Now I think it would be cool to like if everyone said what's going to be like the focus and the goals for the next weeks. Given that we're doing 2-week sprints, I would start myself. Like I will work on like finishing up like the parts of the O4 refactor that are left unfinished. And then I will spend some quality time thinking about the pseudo introspection of the contracts, so we can push this common interfaces thing a bit like in EIP 165 and make some improvements towards the versioning protocol and the Aragon package manager. I need to do some work with that. Wow, that's great. And what else? That and like start like continuing to work with Tim in the like to getting the release to 0.4 and like continuing to like fix all the rough edges. Yes, Luis?
So yeah, during the next couple of weeks, I'm gonna focus on the versioning protocol, and I'm gonna work with Jorge and Harsh on that. And what else? Oh, and also something very important that it's gonna be going on in the next couple of weeks is that I'm gonna work towards making a full like redesign of the product, like design wise, nothing like not another refactor on top of refactor, but just design wise. So I have to like work a little bit on things that we could enhance on the product side. So I think we will also work on that. Harsh and me. I will probably take it, but just request some help from Harsh and you guys as well.
Okay, and then I'm going to work on this Meteor refactoring thing, and yeah, the same thing that I talk about in my presentation.
Tim?
Hey, yes. On the account settings and the periods, look into that contract for the cron tab. And also, I want to really look into see if we can get like some formal verification on some level in our build process. I think those are the two things I'm interested in.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And I think there are contracts in the lower levels that are so simple where we can do much better, like formal verification or writing them in a much lower level, like LLL or even Ethereum like EVM assembly directly. That's cool. Cool. Okay, so is there anyone that has any question, comments, or concerns that want to discuss that we haven't? Cool. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns Tatu from the viewers or from people asking?
Yeah, so first of all, I want to remind and let people know that next Friday on the 14th of July, we are going to have the first community meeting and have the AMA. So, so most of the questions, like a couple questions we got today, would be more suited for that. So,
Questions, comments, or concerns Tatu from the.
Huh?
Sorry.
Yeah, so we'll just take one question. And is Aragon an improved version of DAO?
That's a good question. Who wants to take it?
Is there a question for the audience or?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess he's talking about the DAO, right? So, like, the DAO was basically a project to make things possible on a huge scale of people that didn't like know each other and work in a decentralized fashion. And so, like, you had proposals and people voted on the proposals, and then they kind of invested money into those proposals to make them happen. So with Aragon, you can do that. Like with Aragon, you can create your own DAO that works like the DAO, except that you probably won't get robbed. That's important. And so with Aragon, we're working towards creating a system for creating any kind of DAO. So the DAO was just an example of what can be achieved with a DAO, but there are thousands or even like crazy number of use cases that can be achieved, and Aragon lets you create and organize with people all around the world to achieve them. So you could create your own nonprofit or your own company or your own like tokenized kind of asset or network that incentivize people to use their tokens. So you can mostly do everything, and we are working on being as generic as possible. So even like other projects are building on top of us, and they don't have to reinvent the wheel. So I would say the DAO was just like a kind of DAO, but we will see a lot of new use cases.
Very cool. Yeah. I think the Aragon network will resemble some of the principles of the DAO and some of its goals, but Aragon's goal is much more broad into creating smaller DAOs, like thousands or hopefully millions of DAOs for everything that you can think of, from like running a startup or like Google or Microsoft, or like just doing a DAO for managing an Aragon module developer, and then you want to create a DAO to split dividends between everyone that participated in the thing, or like whatever. So yeah, good answer. Are there any more questions? I'm here, like I saw here one Polo. It's a very good question. Like no one knows the answer. I don't know if the Polo guys know, but I don't know.
Is there bounty?
I don't see any more questions. If
No technical questions for the dev meeting, so.
Okay, perfect. So if no one has anything more to add, okay. So I think we can close the meeting. I think it was very productive. I'm surprised it went this well for the first time. Also provided last week's internal company meeting how it went. Like I think this went very well. So yeah, very excited. A lot of progress we made, and yeah, let's keep pushing. Goodbye, everyone. Like see you in a couple of weeks for next dev meeting number 2.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.